Retired cop wishes to bring home his K-9, but things don't go as planned when the city officials intervene. Officer Matthew Hickey had a very special partner with him while he was on duty. He knew that soon the day would arrive where he has to leave behind his partner. But as they say, time doesn't stop for anyone. The same time he thought was a little far, he reached his retiring age and everything changed for him. No more duty calls, and his partner whom he trusted with his life was not with him anymore. As the days passed, he began to miss his partner even more. Unlike other days where he knew he would meet his partner the next morning at work, but now he couldn't sleep. A person should feel relaxed after retiring, but in Matthew's case, things weren't looking sunny. Officer Mathew has dedicated a good 30 years of his life as a good cop and has served his community as much as he could, but it was the community's time to pay him back. The path was tough, but he eventually made it happen. Officer Matthew Hickey, who joined Marietta, Ohio Police Force, has served the department for 30 years, left him in tears, which he had never thought would be his fate. The department he served with full dignity left him stunned when they refused that he won't be allowed to take his partner with him. Heartbroken, he left the department with only one wish in his heart, to take his partner with him. In these 30 years, their bond became something very special, and now it was about to break. You won't believe what his police department wanted to do with Matthew's partner. Matthew was 57 years old. It was time for him to retire from the job, which he did full-heartedly for 30 amazing years. Now he wanted to spend as much time as he could with his family and friends, but he was also looking forward to having his partner with him for the rest of his life. But as they say, things don't happen the way we want them to. He was not happy about it, not knowing what to do next. He was left with nothing, and then something amazing happened. When he proposed his desire to have a retirement now, he even suggested the department about his wish of taking his best pal with him. His best pal was the K-9 partner named Ajax. Officer Mathew was sure that he would talk to the department and they would easily grant his permission to have Ajax with him. He was even ready to pay for it, but when he heard that the city of Marietta had something else planned for Ajax's life, he couldn't believe that they could do something like this to a dog who has served the police department for many years. So basically, K-9 is a dog that is specifically trained for one purpose, and this is to serve the police and other law agencies. These dogs are trained in locating drugs and explosives, finding a missing person, searching for evidence on a crime scene, and attacking people pointed out by the police. Police dogs are required to remember verbal cues and hand signs. The most regularly used breeds are the German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Bloodhound, and Dutch Shepherd. In Matthew's case, his best pal was the German Shepherd, who was a K-9 police dog, but the department was about to do something really grave with Ajax. Mathew started the process of buying his best pal from the city. However, what he thought would be a simple process became a hectic and frustrating experience for him. The department caused so many troubles for him that he was left with no choice but to leave the idea behind. What can you expect from a 57-year-old man who just wanted to retire in peace and with his loving partner Ajax? But he wouldn't have imagined that the city would do such a thing to a police dog. There is a policy in the police department related to the police dogs that suggests that when a dog finally retires, his handler is allowed to purchase him for $1. But in Ajax's case, who was just 6 years old and still on active duty, the policy wasn't valid. But Mathew was convinced that with the help of his friends in the department, he would be able to purchase him. But nothing worked out for him, and the department had something else planned for Ajax. Officer Mathew was really attached to Ajax. After his retirement, he kept visiting his partner, and their bond was something to watch. But as Ajax was still active on duty, there was time Mathew had to return home without even meeting him. Still, he kept visiting his partner, and whenever he was not on his job, they both could be seen spending time with each other. Other officers loved watching them together, and everybody wished that they could be together once again. Everybody in the department knew about the situation Mathew was in. The new handler of Ajax was a good policeman and very helpful. Though he couldn't do much, as he was new in the department, he still managed time to take Ajax to Matthew's place whenever he was around the neighborhood. Ajax was so attached to Matthew that the moment he was in the neighborhood, he could sense Matthew's presence, and the new handler could see that on Ajax's face, and he even told Matthew about it. There were tears in Matthew's eyes, and now he was more determined to bring Ajax home at any cost, before the city did what they were planning to do with his partner. Matthew was now very determined to bring Ajax home. He contacted several lawyers to find out if there was any way to bring Ajax into his life. After reviewing his case, the lawyers weren't able to find a single way of doing that. Saddened, he went home. Resting on his chair, he was missing his partner who might still be working and wasn't there to take care of him. What if something happens to him while on duty? Thoughts like these kept coming to him. With tears rolling down his eyes, he stood up from his chair. It was time to take some action before the city did something terrible to Ajax. After spending several sleepless nights, Matthew was ready to take some action. When even the lawyers had no clue about the process, he decided to talk to the officials. After making an appointment with the chief of the department, he went inside. He told him everything about his wish to purchase his partner from the city. Matthew was very vulnerable at that very moment, when he was speaking his heart out, but he was even more shocked when the chief said, "I'm really sorry, there's nothing he could do." Those words broke something inside Matthew. Unable to stand, he sat there for a minute. Gathering all his energy, he moved out of the office, promised himself he won't even come back to this department. After Matthew decided that he won't be going back to the department, which meant he won't be able to see Ajax anymore, he called the new handler if he could spare some of his time and bring Ajax to his place. The new handler was more than happy to take Ajax to Matthew's place. The new handler was standing in front of Matthew's house with Ajax, and the moment Ajax saw him, he ran towards Matthew. After hearing Matthew's meeting with the senior, the new handler said that he will make sure to bring Ajax whenever he could. Matthew was really happy to hear that and spent some quality time with Ajax, even though it was not very long. Still, he was happy. Then something happened. The new handler of Ajax told Matthew that he would bring the dog whenever he's around, but it was almost a week now and there was no sign of Ajax and his new handler. Matthew promised himself that he won't be going back to the department, and now all he could do was wait. Struggling with all kinds of negative thoughts, he wasn't able to deal with negativity. Matthew heard something that people in the department were talking about, as the issue was now really getting hot. People were talking about Matthew's condition, who was struggling with a very difficult situation. His retirement didn't turn out to be as he thought it would be. After retirement, people travel or do something that they always wanted to do. But here Matthew was fighting with the same department where he spent his 30 years of his life. But then he got the chance to fulfill his desire, but it was too late, as the city has already decided Ajax's fate. One of Matthew's friends told him that there is a way for him to get back his partner. He told him that Matthew could buy the dog if he was willing to pay extra. Matthew was ready to pay extra money, but he had no idea how much it would be. After talking to the chief again, he was stunned to hear the price, which was $3,500. But when Matthew was ready to pay such a large sum, something unexpected happened. While Matthew was thinking about the new price set on Ajax, he stumbled upon a new problem. It seemed like the city wasn't ready to sell Ajax at all. They had something else on their mind regarding Ajax's fate. Unable to react on what was happening to him, Matthew has never felt so helpless in his entire life. But it was the love and the bond that kept him going. He was ready for every battle because he can't see something this terrible happening to his partner Ajax. Matthew was again in the same spot where he decided never to come back again in this place. It was his love for his partner Ajax that made him break his promise, and was more shattered when the police chief told him that he can't take the money, and there was no reason given. I had the money for the dog and was ready to hand it to the chief of police, and the chief of police said he couldn't take it, Matthew told WTAP. The city officials' plan was, instead of selling Ajax to Matthew, they would put the dog up for auction, and whoever would pay the highest, the dog would go to that bidder. The news shattered Matthew from the inside, and tears rolled down from his eyes. He couldn't even imagine sending his beloved Ajax to somebody else's house. The stage was set and actors were ready, but Matthew changed the script. After hearing the news that Ajax would be put up for auction, Matthew and his wife Sandra were devastated by the news. That just sounds so wrong to me, to auction off a living, breathing thing. Like you would a desk or a chair, Sandra told Crime Watch Daily. Matthew was left with one option, and that was telling the whole world about the cruelty these city officials were doing to Ajax. Seeing Matthew so shattered by everything, Sandra called Matthew's best friend to talk to him. Matthew told him everything. His friend was very concerned about Matthew, who was very devastated with the turn of events. Matthew's friend decided to take some action, and he shared the story of Matthew and his partner Ajax on Facebook to tell the people about the situation. The story soon went viral, and people shared the story even further. Corey Orr from Marietta saw the post on Facebook and decided to help Matthew. He had a brilliant plan that could help Matthew get back his partner, Ajax. He started a GoFundMe page. With Matthew's story, the page went viral and people from all around the world started donating the money. Things started changing and the ball was now in Matthew's court. People were really moved by Matthew's story and wanted to help in any way they could. The city asked $3,500 for Ajax, and the donation, which came through GoFundMe page, was something Matthew wasn't expecting. So much love from the people really made him happy. After Matthew's story, which was soon viral on social media, people from all across the country started donating the money on the GoFundMe page. The page managed to collect an astonishing $72,000 in just 4 days. It made me understand that there's a lot more good people out there than there are bad people, Officer Hickey expressed. A single Facebook post shook the city and its official. They weren't able to face the media and things started heating up very soon. The result was in favor for Matthew. There was nothing these city officials could do, and there was just one thing that they were able to do at that moment. This Facebook post changed the tides in Matthew's favor. The city officials got tired of all the buzz around Matthew and Ajax's story. The media people from different TV channels made their life living hell. The city officials had no answer to the news channel's questions. The officials called off the auction that was to take place for Ajax and was ready to sell Ajax to Matthew for just $1. Since Matthew didn't need the donated money any longer, he did something amazing with the money. When he thought that nothing was working for him, things changed for both Matthew and Ajax in a most unexpected way. Matthew loved Ajax, and he wanted to do something great with the money he got from all the people he didn't know. Now, when he was already getting Ajax in just $1, he decided to use the money for a wonderful cause. He donated the money to Vested Interest, a company that manufactures bulletproof vests for K-9s. We think this is the most useful way to use the money. Police dogs also serve their country, and it should be our responsibility that they are safe. The company's vested interest was moved by Matthew's story and attempt. They tried to repay his goodwill by donating the vest to police departments that can't afford the vest for K-9s. In the end, things worked out pretty well and good for everybody. Ajax was home with his partner Matthew, and they were enjoying each other's company. After their retirement, after a tough battle which Matthew won because his love for Ajax was special, Matthew is thankful to everybody who decided to help him in this fight. He keeps posting photos on Facebook telling the world that Ajax and Matthew are enjoying the new life. If Matthew and Ajax are not home, they must be out for some kind of adventure. Both of them are in sync with each other's energy, which makes them and their bond a really special one. This story tells us that there is so much power in social media, and there is still good left. We just need to look in the right place. Thanks to Matthew's friend, who knew what wonder a single Facebook post could do. On one hand, the department which didn't help Matthew in his tough times, it was these unknown people all across the country that made it happen. Sad and heartbroken, Matthew was ready to give up, but destiny had other plans for both Matthew and Ajax that proves that we shouldn't lose hope at any cost. If you seek help from the universe, it would be provided just at the right time.